Good morning, members, and welcome to this meeting of the Pensions Subcommittee and Board. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be made available for viewing through our Council's website. Remote participants, please follow the good practice guidance, which includes muting microphones and switching off your video when you're not addressing the meeting. Writing speak in the Teams chat function when you want to contribute. If you're in the hall, you can do this on your iPhone or iPad. Please don't repeat contributions already made by other members. No material should be posted in the chat function if it is intended as part of the discussion. The usual standard orders apply, including that any votes will be undertaken by roll call. If any member has to leave the meeting, please either leave the Teams meeting for that period of time or write leave in the Teams chat function and then join when you rejoin the meeting so we can keep track on whether the meeting is quorate. All members should speak clearly, taking their time and speaking directly into the microphone when making contributions. When referring to reports, please provide reference to the relevant page and paragraph to allow everyone to follow. Please focus contributions in areas where clarification is required or to propose an alternative to a recommendation. We have several important reports to consider today, and I anticipate and hope we will deal with the business in our usual efficient manner. Claire, can I have the said and apologies for the Pensions Subcommittee, please?
Thank you, Chair. We've got 8 members present today, 3 in the hall and 5 on Teams, being Councillors Blake, Dryburn, McFarlane, Dorward and Thompson. Apologies from Councillor McGregor.
Thank you, and I give my approval for remote participation. Do I have the said and apologies for the Pension Board, please?
Thank you, Chair. 6 board members present today, 4 in the hall, 2 on Teams, being Colin Graham and Keith Walters, and there's a vacancy on behalf of the college. Thank you.
Thank you, and again I give my approval for remote participation. Do we have any declarations of interest for the Pensions Subcommittee? No. Any declarations of interest for the Pension Board?
Sorry, Chair.
Oh.
I put my hand up, sorry, rather than put speak in the speech. It's Edinburgh Colin Dumfries here. I'm at the Western General and I may be called away for some medication. So if that happens, I'll just leave the meeting at a time.
Thank you for that, Archie, and I think on behalf of everybody here, we'd like to wish you well up there. So thank you very much, Archie. So we have no declarations of interest with the Pension Board. We have the minutes of the previous meeting of the Pension Subcommittee and Pension Board on 25th of June. Are we happy with the minute? Councillor Campbell?
Yeah, happy with the minute. My only concern was on page 7, the heading says Pension Board. That, although the recommendation, or rather in the agenda, is the minutes of the previous Pension Subcommittee and Pensions Board, but in my papers I've just got the Pensions Board and we're only in attendance at the bottom, so I think it should have been the joint one, but everything that's in there I'm happy to approve. Just a slight error there, Chair.
Would you like me to look into that and see if I can provide a copy? Because yeah, you are correct, it does look like it's headed up the Pension Board, but it will be essentially the same decision. But I can.
Yeah, I did look back to previous, and it was a joint thing rather than just picking out the Pension Board. Just thought I'd point that out. Thanks.
No, thank you, and well spotted, Councillor Campbell. So we'll look into getting that changed, I think, and make sure it's okay. So now we move on to item 6, which is report by external audit on the 2023-24 audit of Dumfries and Galloway Council Pension Fund. This report provides members with the audit report from Audit Scotland on the 2023-24 annual report on accounts. This report highlights that an unmodified opinion has been issued and the accounts have been prepared in accordance with the law and relevant accounting practices and provide a true and fair view of the fund's position at 31st of March 2024. The final audited version of the accounts and letter of representation are appended to the report for members to approve. Fiona Mitchell-Knight, Peter Lindsay and Amy MacDonald from Audit Scotland are here and will provide a brief overview of the report and take any questions that members may have. Thank you, and I'd like to present your report.
Thank you, Chair. We're pleased to present our report today for the second year of our 5-year audit appointment, so that's for the 2023-24 accounts. Appendix 1 of the papers is a summary letter which just lays out the position we're in, that we've concluded the audit, and it lays out some detail behind that is required for us to inform you about in terms of international auditing standards. So pleased to report that there are no unadjusted misstatements in the accounts, and that, as you said earlier, Chair, that it's a clean proposed auditor's opinion. So Appendix A of the letter shows that our opinion is the true and fair view. So that's an unmodified opinion. So that's good news for you. Appendix B of that letter is the letter of representation, which is provided by the Interim Chief Financial Officer as part of the audit evidence to support the audit, and it lays out the basis on which the accounts have been prepared. So it's just a final piece in the audit jigsaw, and there's nothing unusual about that for any of you to be concerned about. I'll now turn to Appendix 2 of the papers, and that's our annual audit report, and that's from page 27, but in particular I'm going to refer to page 29, and that's the key messages from our audit. So our audit there, so we summarise again that the audit opinions on the annual accounts are unmodified, and that the accounts have been properly prepared in accordance with the financial reporting framework. So that's really good news. We received all the information we required for our audit, although we do refer in our report to there being some delays with some working papers, and that leads us just to wonder if there are some capacity issues with the Finance Office staff. And we've suggested in our action plan that the capacity of the finance staff is kept under review to ensure that the accounts and the audit can be supported going forward, and most importantly the finance function. So that's one of our action plan points. Our audit goes beyond the audit of the accounts, so we carry out what we call a wider scope audit. So we reflect on the financial position and the prospects of the pension board for the future, and we reflect on the vision, leadership and governance and the performance of the fund. And we reflect there that the fund has effective financial management arrangements in place, and there is comprehensive reporting of investment performance. We do say that the fund pays out more than it collects annually from fund members, but that's not a surprise, and the fund manages that position. And indeed, looking forwards, it's good news to reflect on the fact that the 2023 triannual valuation shows an improved position, and that the fund is now 122% funded. So that's an increase from previous years. So this positive position enabled the fund to reduce all employees' contribution over the medium term. So we currently conclude that there are no concerns about the financial sustainability of the fund or the viability of the funding strategy. In terms of vision, leadership and governance, we say that the fund has adequate arrangements in place to support good governance and accountability. And we do reflect on some areas where there could be improvements made in the administration policies in our action plan. So it's more about formalising the arrangements that are already in place to make sure that there is adequate coverage of the expectations around the legislation regarding pension funds, and we reflect on that in our action plan. We reflect on the fact that members have a training plan so that can ensure that they are kept up to date with the responsibilities of their duties, but we do mention there that some members have yet to complete their required training, and that is also reflected in our action plan there. Turning over the page, we say that the fund conducts business in an open and transparent manner, but we also reflect there about the administration policies required by the regulator needing to be formally documented. In terms of the final section of our report, we're reflecting there on how effectively resources are used to improve outcomes. So that's looking at the performance of the fund. And across Scotland, it was a positive position for pension funds in terms of the movements of their net assets during the year, so that's good news. The fund's performance over the last 12 months was broadly in line with the benchmark, just a slight bit below, but over the 3-year and 5-year performance have exceeded targets. We do say that at point 12 that administration performance is mixed, and in some performance indicators have declined in terms of the performance of 2022-23. And I suppose that ties in with the point raised at 13 of our key messages, that the challenges of administration of funds are increasing in terms of administrative burdens from having to fix the unlawful discrimination cases in all public sector pension schemes. So the administration of that requires retrospective calculations, and it's estimated that between 16 and 25,000 cases will be affected by that in the pension fund. And so it's important that the fund can make sure it can comply and fulfil the obligations around the calculations and the retrospective actions needed. And the fund already recognises this, and a resources review is being undertaken by officers and will be presented to members during 24-25. We reflect on some good news regarding administration and the iConnect system, which enables a more smooth transfer of employee information to the pension fund scheme, is being used and developed over time to deliver even greater efficiencies. And we reflect there that the fund launched its online pension portal in February of this year, and that enables members to access information more easily, and the development of that portal continues. And the final point is reflecting on the fact that Dumfries and Galloway Council, the administering authority, has appropriate arrangements in place for securing best value at the fund. So that's positive news. So that's our overall key messages. In the body of the report, we do reflect a little bit more on some of the details from our audit of the accounts. But I'm pleased to say that the changes to the accounts as a result of audit findings have all been made, so there are no material misstatements in the accounts, so that's a positive position for us to be able to report. The action plan at page 61 of your papers, that summarises the key actions that we've made in terms of recommendations, and as you'll see there, the pension, the finance staff capacity issue is a point that we've raised, and management have committed to making sure that a review is ongoing to make sure that they can meet the responsibilities. The actions 2, 3, 4 and 5 all relate to administration issues. So, as I mentioned before, developing of the arrangements and clearer documentation around a number of issues in the pension fund. Members' training, also important that all members complete the mandatory training. And at action plan point 4, we refer to related party transactions, and that the register of interest is reviewed, but the arrangements for that review need to be more formally documented. The final section of our action plan is a follow-up of prior year recommendations. I'm pleased to say good progress has been made on those recommendations, and where they have not been fully implemented yet, we've flagged that as work in progress, and we'll monitor the progress taken again in next year's report. So welcome the opportunity to present our findings on this year's audit, and happy to take any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for your summary, and thank you for your very, very thorough report, which is very well presented. So thank you all for that. Is there anybody with any questions on this item? No. Moira.
Just on page 61, when you've mentioned about the resourcing review for the pensions team, and I see the date for that coming back to the committee is March 2025. I'm just wondering what support there is for the team between now and then, if there is a resourcing issue and the demands that's placing on staff.
Thank you, Moira. I actually circled that part myself. It seemed quite far away, but maybe it's not really.
Yeah. No, thank you, and I think we all appreciate that the teams have been under some strain over recent months with staff absence and various things. We are looking at the pension fund resources review, and I think it's just about getting the right level, looking at all the workloads and pieces of work we've got to do, and obviously then we'll have the second probably challenge will be around recruitment as well, because getting people in with the sort of pensions knowledge can be challenging, and we fully appreciate that. So we're sort of looking both from the finance side and the administration side about what the best way forward is and getting the sort of the right level of resource, because we don't want to go too far either, and a lot of this is development work, so we need to look at what the needs are in the short term, but also in the longer term. I'm hoping potentially we can get something back to committee before March, but maybe even have it implemented by March would be my intention. But yeah, no, it's definitely high on our priority list, because again, we need the resource to be able to do all the development work.
Thank you. Councillor Dorward.
Yeah, good morning, members. Thank you very much for the report. Really reassuring to know, because I raised this the last time, you focused on member training, because that is concerning. I noticed that page 62, that there's a date, December 2024, for that to be completed. From an audit perspective, what happens if it's not? And also, do you have concerns about the vacancies on the board, which hasn't been mentioned, which have been outstanding for some time, on the pensions subcommittee and on the pensions board? Do you think that is a risk, or is that a reasonable way to maintain the work that we're doing? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Dorward.
Thank you, Councillor. So in terms of the follow-up of all our action plan points, we formally report on the progress that has been made on an annual basis, but we would expect, obviously, the pension fund officers to be monitoring progress to make sure that, that they are implementing in line with the agreed timescales. In terms of the capacity of the pension fund committee, have we got any issues with?
Hi there. No, I think obviously it's a concern in terms of the actual vacancies on the committee and the board for the ability of the board and the committee to be able to challenge and scrutinise, and that kind of links to the point that we have raised with the vacancies on the committee. It is even more important that those that are in place at the moment have the sufficient training to be able to present that scrutiny and challenge. Obviously, there's a little bit of that's out with your control in terms of getting that, in terms of filling those vacancies, but as it stands, we're happy with it. But because of those vacancies, we do need and think it is important that the training in place is undertaken.
Thank you. Councillor Dorward, are you happy with that?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I know in terms of, I've been for want of a better word, nagging and forcing some people to actually complete the training, and it is an item that comes up later on in the agenda. And equally with the vacancies, the issue, as far as I can see, goes back partly to proportionality, and some groupings don't seem to want to take part. So whether we change that going forward, I don't know, but I think that's part of the problem. Councillor Blake, you want to come in?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. And as a new member to this particular body, I had difficulty accessing the training. I did manage to get through and get the correct link, but members might be better just to check that. I went through it yesterday. It was not easy. I've still got a sore head yet, but I have completed my training, so you don't need to nag me now.
Yes, it was highlighted to me at the start of the meeting, Ian, that you had actually completed your training in record time, I believe was the phrase that was used. So is it worth going forward sending out a link just to make sure everyone does actually have the correct one? Thank you. So is there any further questions on this, Councillor Campbell?
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. Yeah, just a quick one. It was mentioned about the iConnect system, and looking at page 60, paragraph 100, the online members pensions portal. It's probably just one for Karen, maybe. That do we monitor how many people actually use that system? Because sometimes when people are looking for information, it's difficult to find out who's the right person. But if they can access their own pension sort of stuff online, you know, to make changes or to direct them in the right place, for example. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks. The iConnect system, all employers, it's an employer information exchange system, and all the employers within the fund are actually on iConnect. In terms of the Pensions Online portal, it's a rollout at the moment. It's our active members. We've got a programme of events for the onboarding of like deferred members as well, but every communication we send out refers people to that portal. And there's still a team at the back of that as well that anybody can contact, and we can talk them through it.
Yeah, but do we monitor how many people actually use it?
Yes.
Thank you. So if there's no further questions, we'll just move to the recommendations. So at 2.1, we're asked to receive the external auditor's report on the 2023-24 audit as detailed at Appendix 2, which we have done. 2.2, approve the letter of representation to be certified by the Interim Chief Financial Officer and appended to the audit report as detailed at Appendix 1, Appendix B. And 2.3, approve the audited accounts which will be certified by the Interim Chief Financial Officer and Audit Scotland after this meeting as detailed at Appendix 3. And at 2.4, note that the certified accounts will be made available to all members by 31st of October 2024 when they will be available on the Council's website. So we've received the report, approved the letter, approved the audited accounts, and note that the certified accounts will be presented. Happy to agree. So we'll now move on to item 7, which is the Local Government Pension Scheme Administration Annual Update. This report provides an update on the activity and performance of the Pension Administration Team for the financial year 2023-24. This is an annual report received by the subcommittee, and Isla Herrick is available to take any questions. And as we've already heard, there does seem to be an element of resource issues with the administration of the scheme, so I'll just open it to any questions. Does anyone have any questions? Well, we're all very quiet. No. So is everyone quite happy with that? Isla, I'll just ask a question. You know, it's been mentioned about an increased workload and various burdens. You know, and how do you see yourself and your team coping with that? And you know, how do you think you're going to be able to take that forward?
Current capacity, very challenging, especially given the work that's coming in terms of Pensions Dashboards Programme, which is the national UK programme for connection in October 2025, and all the retrospective calculations that are required by the McLeod judgment.
Thank you. Has there been any increase in activity with, you know, people wanting to look into things like taking lump sums and that sort of thing?
there always is a steady flow of traffic, and there is very much so at this time of year when we've issued our annual statements. The pensions portal actually gives people access to a lot more modelling information that they can go on, and they can actually look at what they expect, what they need to do to have the type of retirement that they're maybe looking for. So there's information out there, but yes, we still handle calls and emails and things, so there's plenty of traffic.
Thank you. Councillor Hislop, you want to come in?
Just based on the fact that there are the two big issues coming forward for additional workload, how many additional members of staff would be needed to actually make sure that runs smoothly? And is there opportunity to actually bring in external help for a short period to actually cover any backlog issues?
External help hasn't been explored. That would obviously come at a cost. I know that our actuary does provide such a service for a cost, but that hasn't been looked at. In terms of volume of work, at the moment we've got a planned exercise that we're looking at what pockets of work we can reasonably tackle and how far that will take us forward. We're kind of doing a review at the moment. It'll take us into November that will see, you know, how much time, how much resource that's going to take. What I can say is what we are doing is incredibly complex. It's time consuming. So, but one case might take 30 minutes or an hour to do. Another case might take a day or half a day. And it depends on who it is and what it is that we're trying to tackle.
And we heard it was a national issue getting staff in to do these things. At what sort of level are we talking? We're talking, you know, you could do an extra 1,000 nationally to give you a sort of good pool to choose from. And is it something that, you know, we should be asking universities to actually run courses in this? You know, you hear across the board that there's shortages in various issues. Planning's another one that we have from the council side. And should we be actually looking to look where we need staff with accredited training, and let's run courses accordingly so we can get people into those jobs?
Yeah, pension legislation for local government pension scheme. I mean, it's a national scheme with variations between England and Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. So everybody, yeah, has capacity issues. It takes a certain type of brain to get it. So you have to be a people person, because we're dealing with people at the end of the day. But you have to have a level of intelligence to understand the bigger picture and be able to do the financial bit on the background and systems as well, understanding whether or not it's producing the correct information and you know, we're doing what we need to do. It's very kind of niche. I wonder actually maybe possibly even an apprenticeship scheme or something.
Thank you. It seems to be a kind of recurrent theme over lots of parts of a great many organisations as getting staff to take things on. So if there's no further questions, Moira, have you got a question?
Yes, I just wanted to ask, on page 169, it refers to the additional voluntary contribution scheme that's been promoted by the fund, I think, since February this year. And I note that there are 31 new employees joined that scheme. But I wanted to ask, because we've had some inquiries from members about the additional pension contribution scheme, and whether as a fund we will be issuing information equally to members about the difference between AVCs and APCs, and how to go about progressing with the APC scheme if any members were interested.
The AVC scheme is actually run by the employer. It's not the fund. This is where I end up with a dual hat. So it's an employer-led scheme, and APC is from the fund, and all information about APCs is actually it can be got through the website, through the council website. It's all in there. There's so many different options and scenarios that somebody can go for. If they want specific help, they can come and get it, but it's actually better if they go and have a look to start off with and try and get an idea as to how much they want to pay for how long and what it is that they're looking for at the end of the day.
It's just, I suppose, can we send an email out? I don't know whether it's either from the fund or from the council as an employer to our members about the APCs, you know, as a prompt to have a look at that information on the website, because many people won't go onto the website if they don't know that information's there, you know, if they're not familiar with it.
Pay and more is included in the annual statement. So every active member gets, there is something in there to say about this. Is if you're looking at paying more, you can look at, here's where you get the information.
It's just at the moment we seem to be getting emails about the AVC scheme, but we don't receive as members emails about the APC scheme, and I just wondered if that balance could be made so that members can make an informed decision based on the two. It's just really so that the information is landing in people's email boxes, inboxes, and then they can check it out from there.
Yeah, don't see a problem with that.
Thank you, Isla. Councillor Dorward.
Thank you again, Chair. Expanding on what Councillor Hislop was talking about in terms of capacity. In the report at item 6, it says that the pensions team composes of a team leader, pensions officer and 4 pensions assistants, which maybe is enough capacity to do what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. But Councillor Hislop mentioned the additional work coming along relating to particularly the MacLeod judgment, which is, and if you look at page 172 on item 7, it looks like a hell of a lot of work that may be coming down the line for this team to look at. They've said the project plan and timeline is in development, but it might be very useful for this committee to see that as well and keep an eye on that, because that's quite concerning. I think that there might be a lot of additional work for this team, useful for them to comment on that over and above the day-to-day stuff that they have to do. If the numbers on page 172 actually materialise. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Isla.
It's fully anticipated that that work will have to be tackled, so yes, I can continue with an update for, as part of the update report every quarter if that's what's required.
Yeah, I think that would be ideal. And as Councillor Hislop asked, do you foresee any need for any external help, or do you think it would be doable by yourselves?
I can certainly raise that with my manager.
Thank you. So, David, stay talk.
Just to go back to the ABC figures in terms of employee take-up, as you say, it's an employer-led scheme, and it's obviously beneficial to both the employer and the employee. When that scheme was put in place, did you have a sort of estimated number that you expected to take it up?
I had done figures based on a 1% increase, and given that was the figures there I've taken up to the end of March, so the scheme had only just launched. We're actually, you know, there's an awful lot more people now have signed up for it, so I think we'll be above that. But again, if that's wanted, I can bring an update if anybody would like that.
Thank you. I think it would be useful to get, you know, figures on that. That has to be said. So, if there's no further questions, we'll move to the recommendations. So, we were asked to note the annual report on local government pension scheme activity for the financial year 2023-24 in accordance with Regulation 57 of the Local Government Pension Scheme Scotland Regulations 2018. So, we're happy to note that. Thank you. Item 8, Pension Fund Update and Emerging Issues. A standing agenda item which provides members with an update on the current and emerging issues relevant to the fund. This report highlights the progress which has been made on the implementation of the Fund's updated investment strategy since the last meeting of this subcommittee and board. There are also brief updates on issues which members should be aware of which will have future impacts on the Fund. Karen Donaldson and Ross Fraser are here to answer any questions members may have. Karen and Ross, is there anything you want to add to the report? No, we'll move on to questions. Do we have any questions on this? Councillor Dryborough?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I'm just looking at the item with Scottish Fire and Rescue consolidation in I would imagine all of the different pension funds. I'm just wondering where we are with that at the moment, and is there a cost or a judged cost, how much that will cost us into changing that particular part?
That's Trade Ross.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Councillor, for the question. We have received initial notification that the ministers have approved the transfer, and the actuaries on behalf of Scottish Fire and Rescue and our actuaries are working together to determine how much an asset transfer will be. It's anticipated that the membership will transfer at the end of January 2025, and at that point we will be asked to transfer any assets equivalent to that. The ongoing costs will be charged initially to the fund, but we will then recharge those costs direct to the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. So in terms of this exercise, it will be net cost for the management costs relating to it, but when the transfer is complete, there will be an asset value that will need to get transferred, similar to what we've done with Visit Scotland and DGHP in recent years.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Chair. But I mean, the question asked is there any understanding what that might actually be cost-wise? I would imagine there will be a cost that you've got in your mind, or certainly been calculated with the amount of members that there is in the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service in our pension fund.
Yeah, Ross, I think Archie's looking for a number.
In terms of membership, it's about 3% of the fund.
Yeah, sorry, I'll come in there. Yeah, the actuary gave a brief update yesterday. They've not done the detailed work yet, but I'd imagine they're expecting it to be in the region of about 6 or 6.5 million financial, like the asset transfer value.
That's what I was looking for, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Hislop, I think you were one more.
Chair, I don't know if it's our duty to do this or not, but see when the transfer comes across, anecdotally, we've heard that people who have transferred out of this fund have seen a big reduction because of the revaluation and the employers' contributions in the Glasgow one, and there's sort of concerns that because of that they're going to lose benefits. Can we just highlight to people who are transferring out that there are different contribution rates and that it's a defined benefits, I think they call this one, so that is there, so that they don't need to worry, because some members have been getting stuff back from former pension members who have transferred out saying, why is my employer paying so much less now? But it might be something that you can do on the move when they go away.
Thank you, Isla.
It's just changing administering authority. It's not changing any of the benefits. The benefits are defined in law, so the benefit will not change at all. The employer rate actually doesn't affect what you get as a benefit at the end of the day.
Yes, we know that, but some of the people out there don't, and they see a big cut in what the employer's paying in, they think, oh, what's going to happen?
There's a series of communications being issued between SFRS and each of the seeding administering authorities that covers all of that, that hopefully will give them the reassurance that they're not going to lose out on their benefit, on any benefit.
Thank you. Councillor Beretti.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Recommendation 2.2, which mentions the Institutional Investors Group on climate change on paragraph 4.6 on the following page 174. How will this actually look in the future? Because clearly this is something else that the subcommittee have got to take on board. Does this mean that there'll be some form of training towards that? Because we're not talking here weather patterns, we're talking about serious long-term implications of climate change on our investments, and how might that seem? And would that also mean that the board have also got to look at that kind of fact going forward?
Thank you. Ross, can you answer that, or Karen?
As as it was referred to at the previous meeting, the membership of the IIGCC was put in place so that we could maintain our status as a supporter of the Climate Action 100 group. Being a member of the IIGCC now gives us access to additional training resources through that membership that we can incorporate into the training plan, both for members of the committee and the board. So that's something that we as officers will be looking at.
No, I'm happy with that, but I also know that from record that not every single elected member has done climate training, so might that be part of what we should be looking at? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think as far as the pension fund and us today is concerned, I think the training Ross is talking about is probably relevant for this forum, I would imagine. But do we have any further questions? Nope. So we'll move straight to the recommendations. Are asked to note 2.1, the investment strategy update as detailed at paragraph 4.1 to 4.5. 2.2, note the fund has become a member of the Institutional Investors Group on Climate Change as detailed at paragraph 4.6. Also note at 2.3, the current and emerging issues that will impact the pension fund as detailed at paragraph 4.7 to 4.12. And also to note that further updates on these issues will be brought to future meetings of this subcommittee and board as required. Are we happy to note those? Thank you. Move on to item 9. The standing item on the agenda presents an update to members on the current training plan, which is in place to support and enhance the skills and knowledge of the subcommittee and board. Ross is here to answer any questions any members may have. And I think we've almost, on various items so far through the agenda, we've actually covered the training plan. But is there any further questions on that? Ross, you want to come in?
Thanks, Chair. It was just to highlight in paragraph 4.5 in the report, the annual LGC investment seminar, which is going to be held in Edinburgh. I've had 2 responses to the email invitation, but in order that we can progress the booking both of the event and the travel, if any other members who are wanting to attend that event, can they just let me know, please?
Thank you. Councillor Beretti?
Yeah, this was brought up at our board meeting just earlier, and I know elected members, myself, I would like to go to this, and it's finding the time given our commitment to do this. So whether or not governance would be quite happy if we actually do this and not go to committee meetings. I don't know if maybe the chair might be able to help with that.
So, could you just explain exactly what you're asking of me, Councillor Beretti?
That would be difficult, but yes, I would like to go to this. I haven't yet looked at my diary ahead as far as that, but I'm anticipating that we might actually have other business which will probably need or possibly may take precedence. So, just looking for guidance.
I think really, I mean, the only guidance I think I could possibly give is the fact that it was really up to you, to be honest, Councillor Beretti. Councillor Hislop.
Can we join it remotely?
don't know if that option's available, but I'll contact the organisers to find out if there is an option to attend virtually.
Yeah, thank you. It's always helpful if you can when you stay out in the sticks like we do. Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, it's just particularly on the dates that have been picked. I mean, most groups, well, I would imagine most groups would have a group meeting on the Monday. So normally when we have the dates, it's usually midweek for these things, but it looks as if it's Sunday and going into Monday, is that right? 31st October and the 1st of November.
I think that's a Thursday, Friday.
No, I must be on the wrong calendar, Chair. But, yeah, thanks for that.
Thanks, Councillor Campbell. But quite often, my recollection of a lot of these dates, it almost doesn't seem to matter what day people pick. There's always a problem for somebody. You know, it seems to be the very nature of it. So, are there any further questions? No. Oh, Moira.
It was just regarding the mandatory training that's showing on page 182 for the guide issued. I believe that's already been emailed to us from Hymans. So will a refresher, you know, does that guide get updated annually, or is that the most recent guide that we were issued in June?
It's an annual guide, so that's the most recent version. I did indicate in the email that if members could just let me know when they'd received it and read it, so that the appendix could be updated, but it is an annual guide.
Ross, do you think you could remind people once again, and perhaps even resend the guide? Thank you. Now at least everyone can have a look at it. So, if there are no further questions, we'll move to recommendations. We're asked. Oh, sorry. Councillor Driver, I saw your hand go up and then I saw it go back down. I thought you'd withdrawn.
Sorry about that, Chair. I was just to say that I forgot to actually send Ross the email to say that I'd actually got the information, and so if we could change that to being done in June, it was in June.
Thank you. Ross is shaking his head, Archie, so that'll be done. Thank you. So, members are asked to note at 2.1 the record of training and training plan for 2024 in the appendix, and at note at 2.2 that updates to the new record of training and training plan for 2024-25 will be brought to future meetings of this subcommittee and board. Happy to note. Thank you. Item 10, any other business? I've got no urgent on any other business, so we'll move on to item 11, which is Local Government Scotland Act 1973. It says consider adoption of resolution to exclude the public from the meeting in terms of section 58(4) and paragraph 9, part 1 of schedule 7A of the Local Government Scotland Act 1973. Are we happy to do that? Thank you. Read.